Hey, everybody, welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. We're going to get started in just a minute. Let me get organized here. I just got some news that's caused me to be late, but hold on. We're going to talk about comfort zone. Hey, everybody, welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm Belinda Sandor. I am your host for this tactical and practical live stream that happens every Tuesday at 10:30 Eastern. So come on in, and thanks for your patience this morning. I just got some unbelievably, I can't even talk about it. I'm going to cry. Really great news, and I'm going to share it with you all soon. Okay. All right, let's go into Lessons from the Cockpit. So, like I said, I'm Belinda Sandor. I didn't realize how much this was going to impact me. If I would, I probably would have waited another minute, but it just hit me. So, okay, guys, you're my people. Let's jump in. So, I'm just going to jump right into to talking about your comfort zone. So, I'm going to introduce myself, but I want comfort zone is something that comfort zone is something that is not as real as we think it is. And it's interesting because I have been out of my comfort zone for years when it comes to my business, goals that I've had, all the things. And what I've discovered over time is that your comfort zone it's nothing more than a feeling, right? It's nothing more than a feeling, and it keeps us stuck. And so today we're going to talk about that, and we're going to dive into how you can shift that, how you can shift that, because it's critical. It's critical. And today is completely an example of that. And I'm going to tell you about that. All right. So before I do, this is me and my little delicious daughter. Back in 2010, I was just starting my my VA business, and my life had taken a very unexpected turn. I talk about this a lot, but we have these goals like the big 3-0, the big 4-0, all the things, and when we set goals for ourselves, and that's a lot of that's a lot of why we're successful as virtual assistants, right? We're oriented in that way. And so here I am, I'm turning 50, and I'm looking around, and it is not good. It is not good. And here's the problem. And this is so interesting. I didn't figure this out for a long time. I didn't have goals for 60 because I thought the goals that I set for 50 would have me sliding right into 60, no problem. So it was kind of like, rinse and repeat, do it again, keep going. But what happened was I wake up literally, and it is incremental. I mean, you have to pay attention to what's going on in your life incrementally. I was not doing that. And so when I slid into 50, my plan was happily married, homeowner, all the things. Definitely saving for retirement. That would be well underway. I had been doing that, in my 40s, and it just all fell apart. I had all these back taxes I hadn't paid, and I had a business that was failing, no job. And, I'm trying to figure it out, and I have to, because I'm still emotional, you guys. I have to figure it out because of Emily, right? So I leaned into it. And I did the hard work, and it's not easy, and your comfort zone is so at the core of it. It's so at the core of it, and walking through things that are hard. So what I did was I told everybody about my business, and the core of this whole talk, what we're going to talk about today, is being out of your comfort zone. Right? Being out of your comfort zone, because when we're in our comfort zone, we're playing small, we're playing safe, and big changes can't happen. So I completely stepped out of my comfort zone and started telling everybody I knew about my business, and the first client, you guys know the story, I got at the school bus stop, and the funny thing is that if I had known So I'm standing there with the dads, and one of them said, what's new? And I tell him about my business. If I had known that he had a business, I would not have told him, because my whole comfort zone was, I just always thought that people thought I wanted something from them. Like, that was my underlying belief for everything. And instead, what I discovered over time, and you'll discover this too if you haven't already, is that we're the solution to people's problem. We are the solution. And, we make it the other way around. Like, we need clients and we're desperate for it. Right. And which is not attractive in any way. But we really are the solution. So I see this man's face. It totally changes. He's like, what? I've known him for years. I've been standing, with my bedhead at the bus stop for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years with him every morning, making chit chat and talking about, I don't know what. And he was so thrilled. He hired me. He was like, how fast can we talk? And I remember we met at the ice cream store right up the street from both of our houses, and he was thrilled. He was thrilled. And so that's really how it starts, getting out of our comfort zone. And so I did that a little bit at a time, starting in 2010, and I've worked with over 225 clients, and believe it or not, earned $1 million, working as a virtual assistant. And what I teach at the VA Connection is exactly what I did. There's no smoke and mirrors, there's nothing that's left out. It's exactly what I did, which is simple, but not easy. And one of the reasons it's not easy is because of our comfort zone, right? And our relationship to it. And then fast forward. So here I am, married to Greg at 60. We got married. This is our wedding day. These are all of our kids. And, I was always looking for a man who was driving around in a station wagon with a bunch of kids and a Christmas tree on top. Like, that was my image. And that's exactly who this man is. And, so if you are here and you're saying to yourself, it's too late. It's not too late. It's not too late. I'm 62, almost 63. And I could start a VA business right now. No problem, and get to the level that I was at before, doing the things that I teach. So this is our wedding day. And one day I'll tell you guys the story of the white sneakers. All right. So, all right, so let's dive into this. This is actually the perfect topic for today. When we try something new, we bump up against our comfort zone, right? We bump up against it. Like, I think that, when I experience it, it's like a wall, like it's a physical thing. We make it that it's like that real, right? Because it's not actually a real thing. But that feeling, right? You get uncomfortable in your gut. You start imagining the worst possible scenario, right? The worst possible scenario. And what I've learned over time, and I want you to listen to this because this is critical, is that when you're worried and you're imagining worst case scenario, you are actually praying for something that you don't want. Worry is a prayer for something you don't want because you're imagining it, you're visualizing it, all the things. And I have to tell you that if you just realize that, that's a huge thing for me. If you just realize that, you can calm yourself down and you can do things that are scary once you've calmed yourself down. Now, what happens is, so you get these feelings, right? And you imagine all the bad things. And then in your head, or maybe it could be your voice, it could be someone else's voice screaming, I can't do that, right? How many of you have had that? I can't do that, right? But the problem is that this is where the rub is. We give our voice, the comfort zone voice, the authority to make decisions. What are we thinking about, right? The authority to make decisions is crazy. So the result is we can't grow, we can't change, we can't achieve our goals because our comfort zone is designed to keep us safe. Right? It's designed to keep us safe. And so here's the conclusion that we jump to. This is this like fight or flight thing, right? So we jump to a conclusion that doesn't make sense when we're calmed down. We think we're not safe. So what's the opposite of safe? Danger, right? So we're actually telling ourselves, if I do that, I will be in danger, right? I will be in danger. Heather, thank you for, yeah, yes, thank you for putting this in the chat. Yes, worry is a prayer for something you don't want. It does have a powerful effect on our nervous system because we start acting like that. And it's funny because so I've been worried about a bunch of, I haven't been worried. I've had the voices in my head. All right. And I've been pushing them down. And the way that I do that is one thought at a time, one thought at a time. And we've been waiting to hear about this mortgage. And I've been walking around my house. You're financially responsible. You deserve this. You're financially responsible. You deserve this. And instead of a bunch of other things that they're going around my head like a circle, and I can see them, but I'm like, no, you're financially responsible. You deserve this. You've worked for this, and to keep that in my head and blocking out the rest. It's still there. It's like, I feel like I'm a satellite, like, the earth and the satellites of bad thoughts are going around my head. That's how I experience it. And I just keep looking ahead, like, no. And that's what we have to do with our comfort zone, because if you think about it, we're not in actual danger. And so you have to think about how ridiculous that is, right? How ridiculous that is, that making this little change. Now goals are designed to challenge you, right? They're always a challenge. You always have to change to achieve them. You 100% have to change to achieve them. Otherwise, you would already have what you wanted, right? That's the way that works. So I want to highlight a few places that are a few sort of facts, that we tell ourselves that are not true, but they totally stop us. Okay. The first one is, I'm not comfortable telling anyone about my business, right? I'm not comfortable attending networking events. I'm not comfortable updating my LinkedIn profile, right? I'm not comfortable choosing a business name, right? I'm not comfortable fill in the blank, right? Now, nothing on this list is dangerous. It's not even risky, right? But I want you to tell me, like, how many of you have said to yourself, these exact things, and it really, it stops us. It stops us. And if you think that if you're waiting to feel comfortable, it's a long wait. I do things that are uncomfortable every single day. And that's how I make my goals happen. I'm not comfortable, I'm not comfortable speaking. Like, here's an example. I was so terrified of public speaking that I avoided it at all costs. And then something told me that I needed to learn how to do it. And thank goodness I did, because I'm public speaking all day long now, right? I couldn't have been the leader, the founder of the VA Connection without an ability to speak, right? That would be impossible. And so I started with a talk. It had 7 slides. I was a nervous wreck, and I did it. Right. So then I was like, okay. So then I said to myself, okay, it's not like you're speaking on the stage. I said to myself, okay, why don't you think about it like you're delivering information to people who have signed up to hear it. Right. So when I was speaking in real life, in person, people, they had to drive in their car to get there. It wasn't like I was forcing them to listen to me. Right. So I'm like, and I'm delivering information. I'm not trying to be funny or entertaining or anything. I'm trying to deliver information in a clear way so that they can get what they came for. That's much better than, telling myself I can't speak on a stage. I can't this, I can't that. Right. So it really just needs to be these really, incremental steps. And then I soothed myself. And then then I got better at it because I practiced, right? And I practiced at home and I practiced in front of people. I didn't even like it when people were in the room that I knew because I could hear them judging me in my head while I'm trying to talk. So strangers were much better. And then finally I realized I got over that, but I didn't get over it all in one step. I didn't go from from an idea of speaking in front of a room to speaking in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, live stream, on video, for goodness sakes, right? Recorded video, holy cow, right? So you really have to move out of your comfort zone a little bit at a time, but you definitely have to move. And so when and think about also, there's this whole thing about momentum. Think about a baby walking, right? A baby is not ready to walk. They don't sit, they're not sitting in their crib saying, okay, I've thought about it, I've analyzed this, today's the day. I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. I'm going to walk across the room. This is going to be good. I've rationalized it. I've watched other people do it. I've studied it. Okay, today's the day. What happens instead is they pull themselves up, right, on the coffee table or whatever, and they take a step and they fall flat on their face or their bottom, whichever, and then they're like, oh, okay, and they do it again and they do it again. And so what happens is it's the momentum that they gain because they keep on trying. They're fearless, right? They're fearless because they don't have those voices in their head yet, right? We build those in later, right? We build them in later. So if you think about that whole concept of momentum, and in your business, it's the same way. It's the same exact way. And so the other thing I want to talk about, and I kind of touched on this, but this is really important. Your comfort zone moves all the time. It moves, and you have to pay attention to that. We don't pay attention. So for me, I could say to myself, I could watch a really good speaker. I mean, I like someone that's way better than me, right? I could watch them and I could say, I'm not as good as that. I'm never going to get as good as that. It's just impossible because fill in the blank, all the reasons. But the thing is that my comfort zone used to be shaking, shivering, freaking out in the car to get into the public library to speak. Now I walk in the room, I'm like, let's go, right? No problem. I'm not worried because I've practiced and my comfort zone has shifted, right? My comfort zone has shifted. So you have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge that you're not where you were probably even 3 days ago. There's something in your life that has shifted, and you want to acknowledge it and celebrate it and say to yourself, yeah, I was afraid to do this, and now look at me. Holy cow, my comfort zone has moved. So know that that's just natural. It's just natural. And that's why we keep bumping up against it, because it keeps moving, which is good, right? It's really good. So, it gets, and the comfort zone gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? It gets bigger and bigger. And it just becomes this place. I just downloaded an image in my head of it, like skating on a pond, right? So, you're in the middle and you're skating around and you feel the flow. And, if you're outside or even in a rink, your cheeks are getting cold and it feels awesome to be gliding on the ice. But if you hit the boards or you hit the snow on the edge, that doesn't feel good. But it just can keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All right. So I want you to acknowledge that your comfort zone is there. It's a thing that is normal and natural. I also want you to learn to talk to your comfort zone and not give it the authority to make decisions. That's not who you want in charge, the voice in your head, right? And what you want to do is think about how you can turn things around, how you can incrementally change. So if you're afraid to start your VA business, you're afraid to tell people, you're afraid to announce it, or you're afraid to update your LinkedIn profile, or you're afraid to, whatever it is, what's one step you can take today? One step you can take today. Sometimes achieving goals takes years and years and years, but you can always have a next step in mind and you can always take it. So that's how you slay the comfort zone, right? One step at a time, one step at a time. So I want you to take a minute right now, and I want you to think about where have you allowed your comfort zone to be in charge? Where have you allowed it to make decisions for you? And what can you do? One step, just to expand it a little bit. And I want you to do that today. And I want you to do it every day. I want the question in the morning to be, what can I do? What's one step? I mean, if it's your LinkedIn profile, go in there, update your picture. Don't do anything else. update your picture. Okay. Next day, update your headline, put virtual assistant, right? That's all you have to do. The next day, and keep moving. This is interesting. I'm going to tell you a story. So yesterday we were in office hours. Office hours is part of VA school. And one of the women, she said to me that she grew her email list. I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but it's like from 43 to 68. And she did that by asking 2 to 3 people a week, right? And a lot of us, we want to go from 0 to 60. Like, what do you mean 2 to 3 a week? You either will say probably one of these two things. That's too much. I can't, right? Or why not just get 10 on your list a week? Why aren't you pushing yourself? But the thing is that in this nice marathon manner versus the sprint of doing 1 million and then never doing it again, she's grown her list 20 people in a short amount of time. So you have to think about your business like that, your comfort zone like that, and just moving into it a little at a time. It took me probably until 2016 to get my business the way that I wanted. I started in 2010, and to have the amount of clients, probably it took about 1.5 years to have the full billable hours. And I worked on it all the time. And then to set up all the systems that I have, I didn't have them set up for a long time because I was focusing on getting clients doing the work. And then over time, I made these improvements. So if you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you get started, it doesn't work that way. And I'll tell you what, that's how I got into so much. I just realized this this week. That's how I got into so much trouble with the IRS, because I kept waiting to have all the money to pay the taxes. And there was no way I could have all the money. I had to pay it a little bit at a time. And that's how this works too, right? That's how this works too. All right. So I want to tell you about something exciting that's going on. We're starting in 20 days. We're counting down 20 days. We have this fabulous training. It's called Kickstart Your VA Business. And it's for people who have been in business for a while, or people who are just starting out. And we're going to talk about all the things that if you do them, you can get your business off the ground right away. We're going to talk about services, what services you can offer. We're going to do a ton of mindset work. In fact, every day of the week that this training is going on, we're going to have a 15 to 20 minute mindset session that is designed to help you move through and into a more comfortable zone with the lesson that we're going to have, throughout the week. So we're going to talk about services. We're going to talk about how to talk about your work in a clear, simple way. A lot of people don't know how to do this. So when you do, you're going to stand out from the crowd. We're going to talk about where clients are so that they can find you, because that's the thing. I gave a talk at the library, I guess it was last week. Everyone's coming up to me and saying, where can I find a VA? Where can I find a VA? There's no shortage of work. So keep that in mind. And we're also going to talk about the systems that you need to support your business. And then we're going to have a huge Q&A on Friday. There's going to be all kinds of things. We're going to have prizes and all the things. So put that on your calendar. Go over to vakickstart.com, sign up, and it's going to be worth your time. Absolutely worth your time. Okay. So thank you for joining me today for Lessons from the Cockpit. I will see you next week, same time, same channel, and have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.